What's your time? Okay, it's 5 AM. I guess let's head to school. Said, huh? Look the fuck up, bitch. Stand up, fight me. I said, fucking fight me, bitch. Bitch ass cunt. You bloody. Huh? Did you say? Huh? Oh, really? Guess let's head to school now. Fuck you. Guess let's watch YouTube. And fucking... Whoops. Whoops, fucking dope. Chop up some fucking dope, I guess. Throw some fucking dope up, I guess. Dope. I'm in the blood. Yeah, buddy. I'm in the fucking blood. Yeah, buddy. I'm in the fucking blood, cunt. I'm the top dog. Yeah, buddy. Not really. I wish I was the top dog. But, yeah. You know. Yeah, boy. I'm the fucking blood, cunt. Hopefully they don't do what they did to 6 9. Right, if they do, then I'm gonna snitch on them. Like snitch. Like 6 9. Don't care. They say, oh, warranty is the best, but look what happened to 6 9. They didn't do, they wasn't loyal to him. They robbed him, and you know what, with the baby, with his baby mama, and other stuff. They're not loyal to him. Whichever. If the Bloods do it to me, then there's no one how I'll be loyal. You can kiss
me inside the house and try to play off this suspicion by speaking quickly and making it seem like he didn't just obviously try coming into the house. I said, "I'm fine, thanks," and I shut the door. At that time, I didn't really understand the situation or the dangers of what just happened. But still, I was a bit freaked out. It was my mom to come home soon. An hour went by, and I was still thinking about what happened, so I started to watch a movie, trying to keep my mind occupied. When I heard, this was the scariest situation I've ever been in my life. It was My mom came home about 30 minutes later, just to find me crying. And I told her everything that happened. We told the police, but they never found this guy. I look back, and I think how grateful I am that I had the feeling to put the chain on the door. I hate to think what that man would have done if he had managed to get in.
He would have probably killed you, or you know what, you like you. He'll probably do whoever would have killed you, or if you want to, rape you. So yeah, whoever, you know. But Rocky,
I'll never get it out of my mind.
because you know,
I think I could use a pill. Maybe a...
if she didn't, then she would have died or got raped.
So, this started about 3 years ago when I was 18. I was using Tinder with some usual random types of people. We started talking. The usual, what are you doing, what are you up to, etc. Then the rando started to sound depressed about how everyone hated him and occasionally talking about how he should end it all. Me being the nice person that I am, I try to find something about him that I could compliment and try to make him feel better. That sort of thing, or bring a smile to at the very least. And that's when things began to become heavy. Rando began to lash his anger, tell me that I'm a liar or a user and that I just wanted to make fun of him, and I tried to reassure him that my compliment was genuine. I tried to tell him that I hate to see people down and depressed and like to make them happy because it wasn't my usual nature. Now I had been in his shoes before with severe insecurities, so I know how he felt. After he finally began to feel that my compliments were real, he started to get really attached to me and started berating me with messages. He would send me like 20 messages in one go, and if I didn't reply in 5 seconds, he would be like, oh, I guess you find someone better to talk to. You get the rest. It began to get frustrating, and I could have just blocked him to relieve my headache, but I have anxiety and feared that he would turn up at my doorstep and do something drastic if I blocked him. He also started sending me nudes to grab my attention, to reply instantly to his messages, and it got worse and worse from here. Eventually, he told me that he would be in my town soon, and talked about meeting somewhere, sometime, and doing something. I didn't reply, and he flipped out, and started tapping all of my social accounts, Facebook messages, friend requests, Instagram follows. One night, I went out with some of my friends for a night out, and I forgot that he was in town for the weekend. He saw me walking down the street and came up to me and bawled his eyes out for not replying to him and begged me for my phone number and address and whether he could join us on our night out. And we politely refused. He followed us further and tried forcing drugs into my hand when we got to the bar. Infuriated at how clingy he was, I decided to go back home, only to realize that he boarded the same bus as me and vanished only after he saw the place where I lived. He started texting me on Tinder how he would find me one day and find my friends to get my phone number. This was it, and I finally blocked him. And I thought I was done with it. This whole experience had really put me off dating people who have high insecurities only out of fear that this experience would be repeated. That something like this would happen again. I have been trying to stop over-complimenting people too much out of the fear that this experience would happen again. It has been 3 years, and I haven't seen him since. In the summer of 2012, I met my friend Jerry at Dairy Queen for ice cream. He asked if his friend Jim could meet us, who he had met at the library where he was working at the time. I said, yeah, I love meeting new people. Jim comes in with his guitar and starts playing music beautifully. From this encounter, Jim seemed a really chill guy. Cool. He did ask me on Facebook a few days later. And that is nothing out of the ordinary. He starts making casual conversations. There is something stranger, though. When I met him, he had an accent that I couldn't put a finger on. He told me that he was born and raised in the UK and was a musician there until he moved here at the age of 18. I thought, okay, he doesn't sound like a guy from there, but fine. At that time, I was dating a guy called Tom. Over a few months, Jim was flirting with me, but I made obvious that I was uninterested, and he seemed to get the picture. At this time, the spring semester at the college starts, and Jim is in the same class as me, just a different time. There is a field trip at the museum where both the classes are joined. I noticed Jim and made casual conversation, and then we went our separate ways. That's when I noticed something weird. We were in a massive museum in Chicago, yet I seemed to see Jim lurking everywhere. It really freaked me out. When the trip ended, he messaged me again, getting at it really hard and flirting with me again. I told him that I didn't like the way he was talking, but he continued, and I even ignored him at a point when he didn't stop. Why I didn't delete him at that time is beyond me. But I digress. I told my boyfriend about him and showed him the messages. Tom asked what his name was and checked his profile. When he saw his profile picture, he gasped and said, "Jim, that is certainly not his name. His name is Stan. We went to the same high school. He is totally insane." I'm in terrible shock right now because now everything has turned to be more horrifying and creepier. Tom told me that Howie did the same thing to his ex-girlfriend. So basically, Stan contacted Tim's ex-girlfriend and fed her the same lines, flirted with her, and then stalked her. Tom said that he gave his ex-girlfriend the name John, and they both nearly got in a fight, but Stan backed off and switched schools. Tom asked me if he could use my phone to send him a message. Honestly, I was a little reluctant, but Tom showed his high school yearbook and proved that everything was a lie. I can't believe Stan's whole backstory, but did I really have any reason to call him out or question it? I really didn't care until it got scary, and I didn't want to investigate further stalking away. Tom messages him from my account. "Hey Stan, it's me, Tom. Remember me?" That's when Stan gets hostile. He starts losing his mind and starts getting aggressive, adamantly denying that he is Stan, and Tom sends the photo of the yearbook and tells him not to harass me anymore. He gets mad and says that he will contact the police for harassment and whatnot, and after these absurd accusations, he blocks Tom and I altogether from all social media accounts. Stan was caught by the same guy for the same thing again. I don't know if he wants to steal Tom's girl or something.
Up about 3 a.m. to use the toilet.
Yes, so.
And when I look, she is not in bed with me.
Thanks, babe.
Now, this time being the first time we did the nasties, I wondered if she had just gone home. I wasn't really sure of the perimeter regarding this with her. So I look around, and she is nowhere to be seen on the top floor. I go downstairs, and the smell of fire catches my nostrils. I look outside my garden, and she has taken this metal bin and started a fire. I ran up to her and asked her what the hell she was doing. And she was burning loads of my things. She looked at me with this cold, dead stare and said, "You can't have any of this. That's why you don't love me, because you keep things that she gave in this house." I was absolutely horrified. I don't know from where she made this assumption. My CDs, DVDs, hell, even my iPhone, and a whole bunch of other stuff were now melting away in this fire. I was horrified, and I told her that she needed to go, and that I was calling the police and the fire department. The fire was put out pretty quickly, and I never spoke to her again. She definitely had several of her screws loose, and I hope that no other man falls for her madness. I took a third job delivering pizzas in New York when I was 25. I had an order in one of these big fancy condominiums downtown. When you have to deliver something in these places, you have to tell the reception the address and confirm it with the resident, and then you can deliver the order. When I was clear, I started heading upstairs, when this young guy sauntered up to the front desk and caroused around the lobby. This was a Friday evening, and the lobby was abuzz from the people waiting for a night in the town. This guy was in business casual, and the only thing that made him stand apart was that he was wearing those gaudy visors, the one that those frat guys wore. He jokingly says, "Hey, that's my pizza. I'll take it." To which I replied, "Fuck off, pal." I had heard this joke before, and it was especially common in business lobbies like this. That was probably the end of it, and I thought I would never see him again. But the tone of my voice, or the face with which I said it, seemed to have struck a nerve for him. As I was about to enter the elevator, he came up to me and said, "You think you can talk to me like that? Do you know who I am? Is
I
this
don't
still a
give a
joke?
shit who you are.
What's going on
I'll
here?
kill you right
I
down
still have
then.
several pizzas in my car.
Well,
Which if I don't get in 5 minutes after delivering the pizza in the mall parking lot, the valet will have my car towed." I decided to ignore him, but he kept on talking and saying what he does to people like me, and followed me into the elevator crowded with other tenants. I thought this would make him shut up, but he became more agitated and said, "I know what kind of person you are." His eyes gleamed with hatred. He thrust his face in front of me, and I got the first clear look of his face. He was handsome, brown hair, blue eyes, and really white young guy. The crowd of tenants understood he wasn't joking when he said that he could have me killed. He could do it himself too if he wanted. I told him that if he kept this up, I would call the authorities. My stop was on the first floor. He and I were the only ones to get off on that floor. I started looking for the apartment that I had to deliver to, and that guy kept following me saying stuff like that. He hated me and I was a cunt and all that stuff. I knock on the door and a middle-aged man opens the door, and I give him the pizza and the bill, and he pays me and motions towards the crazy guy asking if he will deliver with my friends. I said that I had never met him before and he was following me, and he may have been living in this building, to which the crazy guy said that he lived in that building and I was the one who shouldn't fucking be there. The guy with the pizza told him that he was harassing me and I was just doing my job. I thanked him and started walking back to the elevator, and now there was only one other guy in the elevator. To smooth things out, I asked him where he worked, as he was a good-looking young man, and he said that he worked at the Merc, the New York Mercantile Exchange, and I saw him on the busy trading force, shouting and signaling about commodities, and features flashed in my head. It made sense now. When we reached the lobby, I walked out and he stayed in the elevator, presumably to go to his apartment. When I walked out to the street, I asked the other guy who was with us in the elevator. Typical Wall Street behavior, huh? Sure enough, he says.
I met this friend online this summer before the junior year of high school. I was 16. His name was Josh. We clicked instantly. Our sense of humor matched up, and we very quickly became really good friends.
Okay.
He was a guy, and I a girl. I held no romantic feelings, more so I had a boyfriend. He loved me. We didn't...
Yeah, look, we're actually third generation here on this property. I feel very proud to be part of the community here.
Didn't have a stable friendship, as he would flip out a lot and would go on extended amounts of time without talking to me. He told me that he couldn't bear to talk to me, knowing that we couldn't be together because I was dating someone else. But I know it was more of a control thing. He wanted to make me feel like I was missing something out. He really hated women. Really, really disliked women and felt most were just users. He told me that I was different, that I was the only true woman he ever met. Real red flag right there. I was young and didn't think much of it. Our friendship was online, instant messaging and FaceTiming. Now, when we stopped talking for some time, he would go to Twitter and demonize me. But when he came back, I would ignore it, as he would come back funny and nice. He had a habit of lashing out at people and making them feel crappy. Another red flag, but I thought I was special and he would never do that to me. I was leading up to my 18th birthday and he said, "When you are 18, you are sending me nudes." I brushed it off as I wasn't going to, but I did notice the dominating tone. Fast forward 2 years, I was 18 and had started going to college and had broken up with my boyfriend in October. Josh took this opportunity to say that he couldn't wait to see me, and that if I didn't meet him, it would be over. I had not many feelings for him, but I decided to give it a shot as I couldn't lose him. So I bought plane tickets to where he lived. My parents to this day have no idea about this. I was going on a Friday and would be returning on Monday. I started to feel that I was in love with him and was going to meet the guy I loved. A couple of weeks before going, I started getting cold
guess
feet
let's
and
go home.
started hitting off with a...
Gonna always sleep so I don't get so I don't be tired and at 5 o'clock in the morning when I wake up. So yeah, I guess let's go home, wake up in the morning and go to school. Got my pistol. Oh fuck. Thank fuck that game isn't working for me anymore. Thank fuck it stopped. It's been a month or maybe 2 months. I don't know how long it's been, but thank fuck that game is not working for me. I'm not afraid of anything, but still thank fuck. Oh shit. Guess let's go to bed. Wake up in the morning for school. Okay, so it's 5 AM. Nice. Okay, so let's go to school, guys. Here we are. Oh fuck. Fuck. Oh shit.
Guy from a neighboring university. I kissed the guy a day before my flight and decided I didn't have feelings for Josh. I thought that we'd be friends for 2 years and he would understand. We could still have a good time as our friend had seen his pictures, but he looked different. He looked creepy here. I hugged him awkwardly, got in his car. We made awkward jokes and conversations. I wished I was in my dorm. We went to his apartment, up into his room, and smoked a few weeds. I fell asleep. Woke up to him spooning me and groping me. That's when I unloaded and told him that I was not interested in him in any way romantically. He cried and begged to say that I loved him, and I said that I can't, so went into the bathroom and burned some things and came back normal and played games on his computer. The rest of the trip was just a combination of him being nice and kind to him being completely evil. Here are some of the things he did, or he said he did to me. He talked about me dying, making me sleep in his car, served me spaghetti with moldy sauce, farting on me when I was sleeping, telling my parents I was with him, calling me an idiot, telling me to shut up when I tried to speak, threatened to make me miss my flight and drop me in the middle of nowhere. He kept feeling me up in bed, and when I resisted, he said I wanted it too. When he said these things, I kept my cool and calm, but I was really scared and just wanted to get out of there.
Can I join you?
It's for 8 p.m., so at 11
guess so.
a.m. he
Nice.
leaves, and at that
Video if you're getting cash online
Can I have a
for paid
joint
surveys.
and smoke?
Because
Yeah, sure.
I'm not sure if
Thanks.
this is the creepiest or the most disgusting thing to ever happen to me, but here it is. I'm a 17-year-old female,
Yeah,
and
buddy.
this happened about 3 months ago. Me and my friends always like to go to McDonald's after we had a good yoga
There's
session.
another joint
You
too.
could call us regulars.
Thanks. You're
We
welcome.
probably did yoga together
So
2
what's
or
your
3
name?
times a
Tracy
week, and it wasn't a class or
What's your
anything.
name?
It was just
Jacob.
me and 3 of my
Nice to
friends.
meet you.
We had another friend, Olivia, who occasionally joined us, but she was kind of flaky. If she didn't feel like doing yoga that day, we just went ahead and did it without her. We had been in this routine for a couple of weeks at this point, and we always looked forward to getting some nice junk food. There was something about McDonald's that was like the guilty pleasure of my entire existence. I normally didn't get it otherwise, but I really look forward to the couple of occasions that me and my friends went there. But this one experience was horrible. I had been there enough that I started to recognize the people that worked there. I never had conversations with them, but I knew their faces well enough to spot when someone new was in the back working. That's exactly what happened this one Wednesday
Here's
afternoon.
another joint too. Thanks.
I noticed this guy
You're
with
welcome.
really thin hair. He had a really creepy face, and I'm not sure how to describe it exactly. His eyes were humongous. They looked like the eyes of a bug. And then he had this really strange body language that always kind of freaked me out. It was like jumpy or something. If he was deep frying French fries, for example, he would stand perfectly still for a second, and then really quickly submerge them in one motion, and it would splash grease all over. This was very unusual, considering I had seen enough people put down fries that there was an easier way he could have done that. He didn't have to splash it like that. I was watching him one day, and we made eye contact. It was really unusual, too, because I was looking at him as my mom's credit card was processing to pay for my meal. He had his back turned toward me. I was trying to figure out if I knew who he was, and then he just spun around to look at me, and it was all in one motion. It was just really freaky. So I started noticing him more and more. He was always working whenever my friends and I got finished with our yoga. It didn't bother me too much. My friends also noticed how weird he was and told me about similar experiences. It wasn't creepy enough that we stopped going or anything, but it was certainly enough to notice. I remember the day in particular. It was a weekend because I didn't have school that day. Me and my friends had just finished a really good yoga session and we headed over to McDonald's. Anyway, my friends and I ordered our food and were waiting for a few minutes. It took a little bit longer than usual, which isn't really an issue because we're not impatient or anything. But here was the weird part. They weren't busy. We were basically the only people in there waiting for food, and I think they had one other person who had already ordered who was sitting down and already eating. I didn't see any cars in the drive-thru, and I just found the whole situation extremely bizarre. I'd noticed that the creepy guy was working, but I didn't see him for a very long time. He went behind a wall that I couldn't see him around, and I wasn't sure why he did this either. Life went on, and we got our food and sat down. I normally start by eating my fries, and then have whatever my main meal is after that. Today it happens to be chicken nuggets. I got a 10-piece. As I was eating, I felt that creepy guy's watchful eyes looming over us. I felt really freaked out, and I convinced my friends to take our meal into the car to leave. As we left, I looked back to see him frowning at me. I didn't stop walking. Well, we got out there, and for a few minutes, I felt like I was being paranoid, and I overreacted. My friends thought so too, until I looked at my chicken nuggets. I looked inside of the box they were in, and they seemed to be covered in some kind of weird substance. I couldn't quite make it out, and I didn't know what to think. My immediate reaction was that they had put mayonnaise on it or something. Thankfully, I was smart enough to ask my friends before I took a bite. My one friend screamed, "That freak jizzed on your nuggets." The more I analyzed the strange substance in my chicken nuggets, the more convinced I became that it really was, in fact, that. That certainly explains why it had taken so long for us to get our food.
I wouldn't eat
I
it.
didn't quite understand how he was able to pull it off, though. He was one of at least 5 other workers there. It's not like they would have just allowed him to do this, right? Whatever the case may have been, I didn't feel comfortable eating those chicken nuggets, and I threw them out without hesitation. My friends and I were all really freaked out that this had happened to us. My friends threw out the rest of their food just to be on the safe side. We weren't really sure if we should have reported this incident to the police or something. We really didn't know what to do. We just kind of laughed it off as being one of those crazy life experiences, and that was it. I haven't gone back to McDonald's since this whole experience. But yeah, that's the story of how I ordered chicken nuggets one time, and the freaky guy working there put his secret sauce
I guess today we're gonna open a bunch of shards for you.
Oh my god. And we're gonna summon.
Whatever.
On them. Okay. I don't think you guys are even going to believe this story, but it's 100% true. Just happened last week. I don't know how else I could even preface this dumpster fire of a story, but here it goes. I'm a 22-year-old male and I live with my fiancée. We had a nice apartment, but we were really looking to buy a house. I know, a little young for that, but we both landed really nice jobs after college and figured that it's better to get it out of the way now and start settling down. We're kind of old-fashioned like that. That needed to be done, like painting the walls and redoing the floors and just various tasks like that. It wasn't completely horrible inside, but there was enough work that it literally sat there for a good little while. Well, my fiancée and I started talking to her grandmother after buying the place. She told us that she would sell it to us for a low enough price that we would be able to afford all of the renovations and whatnot. We were really excited about it. It was really exciting to think we were going to have purchased our first home together so shortly after graduating from college. But here was the problem. She had a lot of people in her family who started feeling left out. It was my fiancé's aunt and her 2 sons. Their father had died shortly after the second son was born, and the mother had a hard time coping with everything. She was a regular drinker and arguably an alcoholic. My fiancé told me that they were extremely negative people, and after meeting them a few times at family functions, I was surprised at how right she was. They lived in government housing. She collected disability fraudulently, and her 2 sons didn't work, despite one being 24 and the other being 19. There were whispers of drug abuse in there too. Suffice to know that these were not the kind of people you wanted to associate with. When word got out that we were buying the house from her grandma, they started feeling really left out. There were a few occasions where they'd try offering to watch the house. Very obviously an attempt to get in there and do God only knows what. We politely declined and did everything we could to avoid them. I happened to be at the house one day. My fiancée was working and I work remotely online, so I was home alone. I had just walked down the street to buy a lemonade when I saw someone at her house. It was extremely unexpected. I got ready to confront a potential burglar when I noticed it was my fiancé's cousin.